Welcome to Eerie Bites of History, your daily serving of strange bites of the past. Today, we have a balloon flight to freedom, a deadly explosion, and a family publicity stunt, all of which happened on September 16th. Let's begin. On September 16th, 1979, an extraordinary escape unfolded on the border between East and West Germany. For years, the Berlin Wall, a heavily guarded iron curtain, had trapped millions of East Germans behind barbed wire, guard towers, and armed pistols. Attempting to flee often meant certain death, yet on this night, two desperate families, 8 people in total, chose a path so daring it sounded like something out of a novel. They had been secretly stitching together a massive hot air balloon from scraps of fabric, bed sheets, and even old clothing, sewing in secret by candlelight so no one would suspect. A makeshift burner, fueled by propane, would provide the lift. As night fell, they carried their balloon into the woods, hearts racing at every sound. The plan was simple but terrifying. Raise high enough to drift silently over the East German watchtowers and minefields, and pray that the balloon held together long enough to land in the west. When the burner roared to life, the balloon lifted shakily off the ground. Below them, they could see floodlights, patrol roads, and barbed wire that had trapped so many before them. The wind carried them higher and across the invisible lines into Bavaria, West Germany. After about 30 minutes, the balloon crash-landed in a field. Stunned but alive, they realized they had made it to freedom at last. On September 16, 1920, New York City's financial district was rocked by a deadly act of terrorism. At exactly 12:01 p.m., just as office workers were stepping out for lunch, a horse-drawn wagon came to a halt in front of the USAA office near the corner of Wall and Broad Street. Without warning, the wagon exploded, packed with more than 100 pounds of dynamite and heavy cast iron stash weights designed to act as deadly shrapnel. The blast tore through the heart of Wall Street, killing 38 people instantly and injuring more than 400. Windows shattered blocks away, twisted metal littered the streets, and the iconic facade of the J.P. Morgan building bore scars that can still be seen today. Chaos followed as panicked crowds tried to flee the financial hub. Investigators suspected Italian anarchists known as the Gallienists, who carried out a series of bombings across the country, but no one was ever arrested. The driver of the wagon disappeared into history, his identity never confirmed. To this day, the case remains unsolved, leaving behind questions that over a century later still have no answers. On September 16, 1977, politics and beer collided in one of the quirkiest publicity stunts in American history. Billy Carter, the outspoken younger brother of President Jimmy Carter, officially launched his own beer brand called Billy Beer. Unlike his presidential sibling, Billy was known for being down-to-earth, colorful, and sometimes controversial. He proudly marketed himself as a regular guy, and the beer reflected that image. Packaged in bright orange and white cans, Billy Beer was brewed by a handful of different companies and plastered with his personal endorsement. "I had this beer brewed just for me. It's the best beer I ever tasted." Despite the hype, the beer itself wasn't particularly remarkable. It quickly gained a reputation for being mediocre. Still, the novelty of the president's brother launching a beer line made it a pop culture sensation. Collectors rushed to buy cases, and for a brief moment, Billy Carter was almost as famous as the president. Ironically, years later, unopened cans of Billy Beer would become collectibles, selling for far more than the beer itself was ever worth. Billy Carter's beer may have not quenched America's thirst, but it left behind a humorous legacy, a reminder that even in serious times, politics can produce some delightfully strange and lighthearted moments. Like your history snack-sized? Drop us a comment with your favorite bite and subscribe. Join us daily for your eerie dose of the past.